Okay, onward to the resume final. So you do have a significant number of things to do as you move into resume final. Um, the biggest one is not this big structure part, which is up here, which I'll go over in a minute. I think the biggest one is to create a samples page. So you need to have so if you look through the student um, resumes, in fact, I probably should do that in just a moment with you, you'll see that they have at least one page, and sometimes more than one page, which is examples of their work. Well, actually, let's go take a look at that right now. Okay, here we are at the samples page, which you can get to from Moodle, of course. And let's, as usual, start with Li Ching's. This is if we're at her home page, we clicked on gallery, we would see this page. So what does she have? She has some papers, some research papers from classes, I assume, right? And she's put the Word documents in a folder and has taken images of them, right? And has turned them into links. And she's given a little caption on each one. And then so if I click on one of these, I'm going to go to the Word document. So that's a document link. She's also got a image of two different graphic design projects from some class, probably, I imagine. And these are also linked. So in the case of these, unlike the others, which would have just opened up the Word document, in the case of these, when I click on them, I actually go to a sub page. So there's like a page within the gallery, which gives me a bigger one. It probably would have been useful to have some caption here to explain what class this was from, what skills were used, or things like that. But it's a small gallery, but it is a gallery of things which these might have been a little hard to uh, perhaps to think about ways to represent graphically, but this works out very well. Okay, so next we'll go to Asia, and if we were at her home page and went to her samples page, she calls her samples. Here we have a gallery of what? These are articles at Cardinal Points, the student newspaper. So she took the image from those and cropped it to what she wanted, and then linked the image to the website at Cardinal Points where the article is. And she turned them into a little gallery. Then she had some videos that she put here also. These probably should be by themselves on another line here or something. And I think she had used, I think this probably was before we were teaching Flexbox. But with Flexbox, we have the option to have them stretch over different grids depending on the width of the page and so on. That would be useful. So these don't have subpages so much. They go to links on the web, either on YouTube or at Cardinal Points. So that would be an idea. And I'll show you one more, but please go through a lot of these. This is Devon's. This is a bit of an older site, but she did do a kind of a different kind of gallery with the minis stretched out like this. And these were some makeup things that were done. So that if you click on one of these, I will go to a sub page. Again, there is some text here. Probably would be better if there's even more text to explain. And then I could go back, or I could use these to go back to the samples page. And then she also has a Word document here, which used an icon for it, which is another way to do it. Writing samples and some other design things. So she has some things that go to documents and some things that go to subpages. These are all very graphical. Some people do more like text-based gallery samples pages, where maybe it'd be a header with a little paragraph that explains what it is, and it's a link to an article, something that was published somewhere or something like that, or perhaps to a document that's sitting there. So they don't have to be galleries, they don't have to be images, but if you have that option, please consider it. Or it could be a mix. And we will go over in the future, how do you embed a player, like a video player from YouTube, or audio player from SoundCloud or something like that. So we will be going over that stuff. At this point, rather than just making a page, get your other pages all worked out, and then gather the material for this and make decisions about it. And again, ask me about, if you're having trouble coming up with ideas on what to put in your gallery page, please get in touch and we can talk about it and brainstorm together and find something. Because for some of you, it may be a little harder than for others of you. Okay, so that's the big new thing. And you're going to have huge amounts of corrections and changes and so on. I also suggest that your root folder now is going to have at least one subfolder. In fact, it's required. Have at least one subfolder. You're starting to collect a lot of stuff. You've got at least, in the end, you'll have 4 HTML documents, maybe 5, maybe 6, plus a CSS document, right? So you've got those, plus you have a bunch of images, plus you may have other types of images. You maybe have regular images that you're showing, maybe you have some background stuff, maybe you have some icons. I will be showing you how to use little logo type icons for social media or things instead of having just plain links down there in your contact information. It'd be good to have social media links in your contact information. Maybe you use it more graphically or so on. But then you'd have to have some place to put those little images and so on. So I think you definitely want to have an images folder. In fact, you might have an images folder and a logos folder and a other folder, other subfolders too. You might have a subfolder for samples where you put in the PDFs or the Word documents or the other things that you're showing people. So in other words, there's a lot more organization goes on. Of course, once you make subfolders, and I am requiring you to put at least your images in a subfolder, then you have to have more complex paths to get to them, right? This whole thing is due on the last day of the semester, but please don't just put it off until a few days before that and expect to get it all together. This is an evolving project. In coming weeks, you're going to learn more skills. Every page has to have navigation, for instance. You're going to be adding that. You're going to be putting images in each page. I think one of the mistakes that people make is sometimes they have images that are a little too small. Let's go back and look at Li Ching's. That's not a bad size image for the home page. In education, that is a very small image for this entire page. And these two images, this is smaller still. It's nice to have definitely a dominant piece of art that is most interesting, that's going to be the most eye-catching, going to be the most useful. And then once you have a large piece of art, your next pieces of art should be significant size, but also probably half the size, no bigger than half the size. And then if you find out that your big piece of art is on a certain topic that maybe, so for instance, an experience, this is a bit of an issue here, I suppose. There's a difference in size, but I think this definitely should be bigger. Let's look at her about page. This is what I was looking for, yeah. So her interest in hobbies, her biggest, most interesting photo is at the bottom. She could have rearranged these and put interested in hobbies on the top with that big photo there. It would have made more sense. So you're going to be starting to put photos in, deciding how you're going to present them, building captions, deciding how you're going to work those in too. So what to do now? Please make corrections and start adding images and navigation. Yeah. The minimum requirements for this project are you have your index page, right, with at least one photo of you, and contact information and copyright on every page. Every page has contact information. Every page has copyright. And then at least 2 resume-like pages with the content divided between them, with links and with good and everything has links. Your cover letter has links too. Everything has links. Everything has a color scheme that works well. Right? And then at least 1 samples page that shows your work. Could be all kinds of stuff. That's the minimum. All pages must include internal navigation, at least 1 piece of art on each page. That's in addition to any repeated mugshot. Sometimes people put their image in their image kind of as part of kind of like a banner, as part of the page 1, and it's repeated on each page. That doesn't count as having art on every page. I want to have some real art connected to the content on every page. So that would be the minimums, but that would be for a minimum grade. You're going to want more than a minimum grade, right? So you're going to add more things. You're going to have 2, 3 pieces of art on each page, perhaps. You're going to have good captions. You're going to have multiple gallery pages, samples pages, or maybe at least a gallery on your samples page, maybe with some sub pages too. So then you get multiple sets of images, the little image and the big image, right? and maybe some other extras also. And then, of course, you're hopefully working with the box model to work on your spacing too. So all this is coming together, trying to put all these skills together as this growing project is nearing maturity now. Um, and you're having to ask, things are not going wrong, and you're having to ask for help and so on. Now, one other big chunk of skills that you may end up using some in this project is what we're going to be learning in one of these coming weeks soon, this big Dreamweaver tutorial. That's going to show you some even more advanced skills as you go through this tutorial using another program. And maybe you'd like to take some of those things and pull them over into your project too. So there may be other things too. And maybe other things you've read about that you've gone beyond. Maybe you want to use more flexing, for instance, or things, or some other skills too. Maybe you want to use special frames. Maybe you want to do some other kinds of backgrounds or gradients or things. All those things can be done as you move along. Okay, enough of me talking. Please give it a try and ask questions.